Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. It's another Christmas special is out. Another new episode of Doctor Who. It's festive because there's a tree. I've got anything else to open with, really, because we're double-barreled on recording today. So we're just going to go straight into it, right? Joy to the World, written by Stephen Moffat, directed by... I didn't write down who the director was.
Nope, nor did I.
Directed by whoever directed this episode, broadcast on the 25th of December 2024. What do we think of this? Now, what we've done here is we've deliberately not really spoke to each other about our thoughts on this, because we watched it separately, because it was Christmas, we're all with both of our respective families and whatever. Deliberately we thought we'd keep the mystery a bit and see what each other thought. What did you think?
I liked bits of this. As a whole, I felt the episode was quite weak. Personally, I weren't 100% keen on this one myself.
Yeah, fair. That's exactly how I feel about it. For me, there are bits of it I really like. There are bits of it I really, really don't like, and I'll get into that a bit later. But overall, this is a straight down the middle. I mean, I'll rank it now 5 out of 10, like bang on, bang average. Just not enough crap to make me sort of hate it in a visceral way, like I have with other episodes, like Dot and Bubble, for example. But not enough for me to be like, you know what, that was pretty good. It wasn't the best, but I enjoyed it. It was just straight down the middle. Fine.
Just okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's Christmas. It's a standalone episode. So like from that standpoint, it's done its job.
Yeah.
There was bits of fun in there which were enjoyable, but
tell you who was on fire though. Murray Gold.
Yes, he was.
This is, I think, Murray's best work since he's come back.
Yeah, the music in this was just brilliant. With
that little sort of new drum beat over the 15th Doctor's theme in the cold open. That bit at the end where Anita's looking out the window and she's in the hotel room, and there's that score, and just all the way through Pepper throughout. He even comes back to that recurring Christmas motif from last year, the very Christmassy sort of bum. Shooty on his own. We haven't really had that yet.
No, it was a strange one.
I quite liked it. I think it was because of having a series where we've only got 8 episodes, and for 2 of them he's not really there. And obviously the Church on Ruby Road is about introducing him, but it's also about introducing Ruby as well, and the 2 of them. And the Giggle, he doesn't really have anything on his own because he's there with Tennant and Catherine Tate. It's finally quite nice to see how this Doctor is on his own. I like the fact that he's back to being a bit of a gremlin who's just going around nicking milk off these sci-fi hotels and stuff like that. And, you know, he's just chilling in his very Arthur Dent sort of pajamas and all of that. I like Shooty in this. I think he did really, really, really good in this one.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's playing the Doctor is something he's very good at.
Yeah,
like, I think he's one of the best Doctors we've had.
I don't know if he's one of the best, but he's definitely good.
Up there.
Yeah, he's really sort of settled into it now. I think you can tell that with this episode in particular, you can really feel he's got this sort of comfortability and this confidence. And I think a lot of that comes from some of the dialogue as well, because I think Moffat does very good Doctor-y dialogue. Like Moffat knows a bit, because a lot of the things he was saying sounded very 12th Doctor-y. And we said, like, a lot of people said that about Boom as well. I think we said that about Boom. I just really like the sort of, he's a bit more eccentric in a way. He's got a bit more of a bit of a buzz to him. Lots of a bit of brooding, not brooding as such, but just sort of not even sulking, just a bit. I don't know. He said he's clearly missing Ruby, I think.
Yeah, he's in that period where you see David Tennant in that a bit, where the companions have moved on and he's just kind of got to get used to being on his own for a bit again and not having that person there. Like with David Tennant, he was used to just rambling and stuff, like in Partners in Crime, and then he looks up, he's like, oh, right, yeah, I've got no one.
Yeah.
It's kind of felt a bit like a nod to that sort of side of it, where he's just making the cups of coffee in the morning and he's accidentally gone and bought 2 mugs. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I think I prefer it when it's a bit more subtle, like you just said in Partners in Crime, whereas outright going, yeah, it's just me again now, isn't it? All that sort of stuff. I'm like, are we not meant to be over this?
Yeah.
There's a few elements of that with the Doctor, especially later on when there's the 2 of them in the room and he's like, oh, this is why no one likes you and this is why you're always alone. And it's like, haven't we done all of this though? Isn't that the whole point of the bi-generation, that we were supposed to leave all of this moody stuff like in the past, and this was meant to be a Doctor free of all of that, and just sort of, you know, not saying he shouldn't be challenged or have burdens or whatever, but make them new and interesting. This all just felt very samey, very old ground that had been trodden before, if that makes sense. It's like, yeah, right, you've you've lost. Well, Ruby's staying on, but there's something you making new friends, as he does in this episode, and there's nothing to say. We should be over the whole. Oh, this is why you're so alone. You're in your big blue box all on your own, and it's like, but can we just not?
Yeah,
I can't be the only one that's bored of that by now.
Yeah, it is a bit samey and harking on the old stuff, really,
Yeah. It wouldn't have been so bad if we didn't have the bi-generation like 10 episodes ago.
Yeah, oh Christ, yeah.
Where that whole thing was supposed to be like the Doctor going through therapy and, coming to terms with this kind of thing and moving on from it and being a bit more bubbly and a bit less burdened by the stuff we've seen before. That's not to say that he shouldn't face new challenges and whatever and have new things that will burden us, like stress him out, but... and it's the same with the crying. I mean, I'm just going to stop mentioning the crying after this video because it's
so constant.
Me constantly whinging about it isn't going to change it. It's going to have to I'm going to have to accept it. And I have no problem with the Doctor crying. It's every episode.
Yeah.
And over moments that aren't really, sure, the Silurian that gets killed, that is sad. But the Doctor doesn't have like an emotional connection to this individual Silurian. He's met him like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. I think the only time it's justified, maybe you could say the ending, because it is a nice happy ending. It is Christmas after all. But when he says goodbye to Anita after that 20-minute sequence.
We should probably talk about Nicola Coughlan as Joy. I really don't get the character. I don't like her. I'm sorry, hot take or whatever. I don't know. Really not a fan.
My only issue with Joy is we don't get a lot with her.
Yeah.
And what we do get with her, 90% of that, she's under this mind control thing by the briefcase. So it kind of feels she's not really been done justice. I think she played the role quite well. Personally, I think she did good. I just wish we got a bit more of her, especially her on her own. But it's kind of felt more like, as we put a pin in earlier, but we'll keep it in there. But the Doctor and Anita kind of had a much better part of the episode than anything with Joy in it. And that's nothing down to the character itself. It's unfortunately the way it was written.
Yeah, I've got issues with the whole thing. I mean, like you said, it's so weird to have the big build up to this special being about, oh, this is Nicola Coughlan, from Derry Girls and Bridgerton and whatever. She's going to be a Doctor Who. She's not in it that much. Like you said, she sort of gets sidelined in the episode where she's meant to be the big guest. And she still is, I think, probably the primary guest star of the whole thing. But like you said, for a lot of it, she's controlled by the briefcase. But the stuff where she isn't at the start really got on my nerves. Where she's like, oh, am I not in this conversation? This is my hotel room. Hello? This is just men, isn't it? Me. And it's like, who talks? And when she first meets Anita at the hotel desk and she's like, oh, single. Oh, does it show? Oh, I'm lonely and I'm talking to a fly about being alone and single. It's like, that's not how people talk. It comes across as very obnoxious. And immediately then I'm like, well, I don't know how I'm going to warm to this character now because her first scene is her. The first couple of scenes where she's not on the briefcase, I'm not a fan of her at all. And then she's on the briefcase and isn't really here. And then eventually we get stuff. I'm going to save some of the ending stuff till the end, funnily enough. Because for me, there is a massive missed opportunity in this episode. And I think you're probably going to agree with me that this episode, right, everything up until the Doctor getting stuck in 2024, that should have somehow been condensed into the cold open. And the majority of this episode should have been about the Doctor and Anita, who is the other person in the hotel. She's the hotel receptionist or whatever. It's only a tiny little hotel outside Popworld in Cardiff, of all places. And for me, I would have been so much more invested if this was like a Christmas special about the Doctor sort of, learning the benefits of what it's like to stay in one place and really spend time with someone and become friends with someone and sort of like have that in one place, and him learning to sort of be like, right, sort of almost carrying on from the bi-generation thing of being like, right, I'm stuck here, I haven't got a choice, I'm going to make myself useful. Because the stuff with Anita is all sort of like montaged a bit, but there's a lot of fun jokes in there. I can't remember the actress's name that plays Anita, but my God, she hits the ground running with that character from the first scene, because she walks in with the Silurian and Joy and everything, and she's like, oh, this doesn't happen all the time, by the way, like obviously quite underplaying it quite well. It's really fun, and she's like the relationship with the Doctor I'm way more invested in than I am with him and Joy. Yeah. And I just think the idea of the Doctor sort of learning what it's like to spend Christmas and spend a year just stuck in one place, and what that means for this character that's so used to whizzing about all the time, would have been so much more interesting and thematic to Christmas and spending time with people that you care about. And it would have been far more rewarding than just this what is a very wafer thin plot. Because the idea is the Doctor lands in this hotel that can go anywhere and has rooms to anywhere in time and space, which doesn't really get utilised because there's a briefcase with a star seed from Villengard, because it's Moffat, of course it's Villengard. And this thing is like the most deadly weapon in the entire universe, and it will destroy all life, blah, blah, blah. And they've got to get this briefcase back and throw it into space. But that doesn't really sustain a whole thing. And it's always like Moffat knows that, so that's why you get that sort of 20 minutes in the middle, where it's just the Doctor and Anita. And it's like, well, if that's the more rich character stuff, I'd take that over any sort of like knobbing around with a suitcase that could blow up the universe or something.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Time Hotel, I thought that was a brilliant concept, like a really fun idea, it deals with that. Okay, sometimes you get a hotel room with a door that's just constantly locked and you can't.
Have you ever
unlock it.
had a hotel room?
I've had one. It was a very posh hotel room.
This is the thing. Moffat's been going on and on about this, like it's a sort of shared experience. So it's like, you always go to a hotel room. There's always that door that's locked, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, not if you stay in Premier Inn. There isn't. You're fine. That door's a toilet.
Yeah, that door is the way out, and you don't want that to be locked.
No. The guests in the Time Hotel as well are dressed up for the era they're going to be staying in.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was a nice little.
Yeah, there was a fun little references there. Did you ever watch Mr. Ben as a kid?
Yes.
Yeah, did you see the Mr. Ben's clothes for everyday thing? That was really cool. I like that. That was a good little reference.
They're going back to Murray Gold being brilliant. We get a nice little callback to his music from The Voyage of the Damned. As he went to the Time Hotel for the first time.
Oh yeah, I thought that I couldn't work out what that was like reminding me of. I knew it was a previous episode. I couldn't quite put my finger on which one it was, but yeah,
I forget the name of the song, but it's the one.
Stowaway.
The Stowaway.
Yeah, there was a bit of that in there. I knew that was really bugging me. That I'm glad you worked that out because it was doing my head in. I couldn't figure out.
I worked it out on first. I was hammered and I worked that out.
Oh, I know you were hammered. Tom's Christmas Day updates are always fun. Communion wine, ciders, bottle of wine, all by lunchtime.
Yeah, that was bad.
I'm not judging you. It's Christmas. You can do what you like.
I do want the Doctor's dressing gown in this, though, because that did look comfortable as hell.
Yeah, that was definitely like a £200 dressing gown or something, wasn't it? Like, there was... Release that one, please. God, I love that. Very cosy looking. Do you know what I did enjoy though with Ncuti and Joy, with the Doctor and Joy, was when they're in the lift and the Doctor's gone the long way around. He's had his year with Anita and everything, and he starts being very nasty to her.
Yes,
just to sort of like break the conditioning of the case. I really liked that because it was really Seventh Doctor. I've just done a marathon at the Seventh Doctor, and there's so many moments where the Doctor just starts being an arsehole to get into people's heads. And it really worked. It was fun because we haven't really had that sort of darker stuff from Ncuti yet, which I was saying we really needed. There are hints of it throughout the first series, but there's not a proper moment where you can go, oh, that's him being a knobhead.
Yeah.
And it was like, obviously it was deliberate and it's uncomfortable, but it showed that Ncuti has got the range for this kind of stuff, which we all knew anyway, but we just needed to see it. And I feel like we can finally say that we have seen it. Yeah,
I feel it's one of those things that really comes out of a Doctor during a Dalek or a Cyberman episode, and I hate that we have to rely on those monsters to bring that side out of it, because it's very much rinse, repeat, shut up. Shut up.
I was waiting for my moment. Yeah. If anybody's been watching us for a long time, you will know exactly what I was about to do then.
You just get this rinse, repeat of, okay, we need a Doctor to show his dark side. Let's throw the Daleks in there. Let's throw the Cybermen in there. Someone he can't quite defeat completely. And it's refreshing to have him just do it on a whim, just to try and break the conditioning of a briefcase.
Yeah.
Like it was a nice change. And you get, as you said, you get a lot of range from Ncuti for doing this.
100%. Couldn't agree more. It was just exactly what we needed to see. And this then breaks Joy's conditioning, and we get the sort of revelation that the reason she's so happy and bubbly and quirky and single is that her mum died on Christmas Day. And because of the lockdown, this is the first time...
Sorry. Sorry.
Which is the first time the pandemic's been explicitly referenced to in the show, which I was kind of hoping we could just avoid for reasons I'll get on to later. But it's a good scene, well acted by Nicola Coughlan, and this is where Joy starts to become a bit more likeable for me now, because she sort of is like, right, okay, she starts feeling more like a person that's got reasons for the way she's acting rather than just like being weird. And the Doctor sort of she gives the Tories another arse kicking on Christmas Day, which is always good when people make fun of them because they are a bunch of useless knobheads. And I, for one, would be on Joy's side in this situation where she's talking about how difficult it is to, having to say goodbye to people on iPads and stuff, and when everyone else was having like wine parties in Downing Street and all that. Again, saving that for the end. There's some really fun, after you get the sort of moment, there's a bit with the dinosaur that we've seen on Children in Need, and a bit more exposition about the starseed and whatever, and how far they've travelled back in time. And then afterwards we get some really funny moments. There's a lot of comedic moments, sort of like bam, 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 to sort of lighten the tonal shift, because the Doctor's working out, what was it, he's trying to work out he's doing all the calculations to find out where the starseed is now. And he's like, right, okay, I can use the TARDIS, we can do all that. And then the hologram goes, yeah, we are in room 42 though, if that helps. He goes, yes, that does help, yeah. And then the miscalculations a couple of minutes later, where it's like, it would take 4,000 something years. And the Doctor goes, do you want to do that again? 4.5 minutes. That was good fun. And the stuff with the Orient Express and the train and everything, that was good. Like, that was proper sort of Christmassy Doctor Who stuff. It's like, they're stopping this seed from exploding by using a train, using an Orient Express and a rope. As soon as he said ropes, though, I started to go, oh god, I had like PTSD.
From Last Christmas?
From Empire of Death. Oh, he's like, I'm really good with ropes. I was like, oh god, please not again.
Sutek's gonna die again.
I was just like, there was a sort of moment where I was like, oh god, we're doing the ropes thing again. I mean, it's fine. It worked in this. It's understandable. You need a rope to shift the big log out the way.
It worked in this one.
It was fine. It wasn't
like, stupid.
Let's not do it again, though, please.
Yeah, at least I didn't put it on a dog's collar. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
We don't need any callbacks to that.
Yeah, and that's when I really stopped enjoying the episode completely.
Yeah.
I was so deflated.
So, yeah, it's just I was trying to think of a more positive way to put it, but no, it kind of went downhill a bit here. Not in terms of like mood, it just didn't do it for me. Joy's there, she's taken on the starseed. It's out of its case. The Doctor's seen it, and she's standing there in what we later know to be Bethlehem, and she becomes the star, and she takes the star. Well, she goes into space to basically be the star of Bethlehem over Jesus. But then the star is obviously still seen in World War II era, Mount Everest base camp, Orient Express. Get a little cameo from Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday for seeing it, and we see Joy's mum in hospital in what I think would have been, for those who genuinely suffered quite badly during the pandemic, I feel this scene would have probably been quite hard. Yeah, well, before we get on to that bit, I know I keep putting a pin in it. I want to talk about the fact that what happens with this starseed. It's meant to be the most it will annihilate all of life on Earth if it explodes on Earth.
If it explodes, so then it just so Joy just goes, do you know what I'll do? I'll just hold it here and then I'll just fly. Like what? How?
She was connected to she was part of the star though, because you see it as they all hand over the briefcase. They're like, oh yeah, I'm part of the starseed now. So,
but how? There's no explanation for that, because she's not dead, or is she dead? Is she dead and that's the hologram thing? I don't know. Someone explain. I don't know if I've missed something or if I just completely tuned out. I've seen it 3 times. I still can understand. I still can tell you how the ending works. But yeah, the hospital stuff. Gonna get a bit personal here now. Gonna get a little bit personal. I hated the hospital scene because, as someone who lost a relative in the pandemic, I lost my granddad, not to the virus, but at the time where you couldn't go and see people, and we had to do the whole thing of not even on an iPad. We had a very dodgy phone line to speak to people and sort of try and comfort them. I'm going to be obviously very aware here that this is my own personal response to this. There are going to be people who will have lost people in the pandemic that will find that scene as a great comfort, and that's fair enough. I'm not saying that that's wrong in any way. I'm not saying that shouldn't be the case. That's absolutely fair enough. For me personally, I thought it was so tacky. I thought it was crass would be the word I'd use, because we see Joy's mother in the hospital bed on the iPad to Joy, and it's all like, I'll come and see you when all of this nonsense is over. And she looks up and sees the star. That would have been fine. You could have left it there. But then she looks up and says, oh, Joy, and she starts like disintegrating and turning into the star. And it's like, what? How? Number one, how? because nowhere in the plot explains how that would even happen. 2, does she just completely disintegrate in the hospital? Could you imagine being the nurse on that ward bit? Hi, is that Joy? Yeah, I got some bad news. Your mother disintegrated and flew out the window last night. Don't know how. Anyway, Merry Christmas. Like, what? And I think it was used as a bit of like, I think it came across to me as like, oh, look at this shock value Christmas Day stuff. Like, I don't want to be reminded of the fact that my granddad died during the pandemic on Christmas Day and I couldn't see him. And I certainly don't want to sit there and think, oh, maybe he flew out the window to be a star. Like, please don't patronise me. And we had to go through enough through that bloody pandemic without being boiled down into novelty stuff like that for Christmas Day. And like I said, that's my response to it. Someone else could have a completely opposite like thing and go, yeah, do you know what? That was really nice to think that they weren't, they could be in the stars and everything. Fair enough. I'm not here to criticise anyone else's stuff. Anything that brings people comfort, that isn't doing any harm to anyone else, I am not here to criticise in the slightest. But my personal response to that, I just thought it was really crass and really uncalled for. I can't find any positives to it at all, apart from like someone somewhere might have watched and found a bit of a comfort in it. But for me, and it's like the pandemic was only 4 years ago. I know it feels like a lifetime ago, but it's still quite fresh in a lot of people's lives, especially when you lose someone like incredibly close to you. It does like...
It's a bold move. It's a very bold move to include it.
Yeah, and I think
especially with it being still so soon after it.
Yeah, and part of me wants to sort of go, yeah, it was really bold. But like, if it had just cut where she looks out the window and sees the star, and you sort of have, the idea of Joy is watching over here, and not that she could save her or anything like that, but just that little bit of like knowing that she can see her rather than through a screen or something like that, I'd have been fine with that. I just still found it a bit weird, but I'd have been like, okay, fair enough. But as soon as she starts like dying and disintegrating, going out of the window, I thought, what is this nonsense, man? Like, that's just my take on it. I really didn't like it. I was just not a fan. I like the idea of the star being through all the different like times and stuff. That's really cool. And I'm not even that bothered, because I know people on Twitter were saying, this is going to explain how the Christmas star happened. And I thought, right, okay. Because we've got Moffat, who is quite clearly... and maybe not anti-religious, but like definitely enjoys taking the mick out of religion in his writing. I mean, all you got to do is look at just Doctor Who alone. Boom, last year. That is a complete sort of like, piss take on capitalism and religion and sort of how the two coexist. And then you've got this, it's like, this is the Star of Bethlehem that helped the wise men find Jesus. Like, it's very inconsistent. And I know we're not here to sort of, we don't sit and watch Doctor Who to sort of judge a writer's sort of beliefs and try and work out what their personal feelings are, because that's not our job. That's not their job. Their job is to write an entertaining piece of television and at least a satisfying ending, which this just fucking wasn't. Pardon my French, but that's my rant over. Tom, your closing thoughts. Sorry about that. I went off on one there.
So it's justified. I kind of feel the same way. It was sick and crude, really, what they did in the last scene. As you said, I feel it might give people some comfort, but I was fortunate. I never had to go through any of that myself. I was lucky that I got through the pandemic with all my family still intact. But yeah, I couldn't imagine this being a comfort for someone who's gone through that. But overall, I'd say the best part of this episode was that about 20 minutes with the Doctor and Anita, where they're just running around the hotel. The Doctor's helping out all over the place, using the Sonic to mop the stairs. And then Anita's just there, like, not even questioning it. Bursting into the honeymoon suite as well with a couple in there, I thought was quite funny.
That was good fun, yeah. I like that.
And it's like, don't you just hate waiting? And they both go, yes. Like, just get out on our honeymoon.
Yeah, there was a lot of
fun.
Why
you go to Cardiff for that? I don't know.
London.
Oh, sorry, yeah, London.
They obviously weren't outside Pop World on their honeymoon. Who would do such a thing?
But then you get like a lot of cool little Easter eggy bits, I guess. You've got all the TARDIS memorabilia, which is now canon.
Which you've got one.
Yeah, we have one of those TARDISes
in videos as well.
You had the Doctor talking to Anita about the Weeping Angels as well over the Chinese. which I thought was quite nice.
The plunger.
The plunger, is this armed? Like, honestly, these two have such brilliant chemistry. I really kind of hope we get Anita back.
I would like to see Anita come back. I don't care about Joy coming back.
No, she can't now. Anyway, she's a star
in the sky. But Anita, definitely. I feel like there's a real chemistry there. A lot of people might not buy into it, but obviously we're seeing a fraction of the time they spent together. That's the whole point. And there's like you said, there's a joke about that, and about the sat nav always taking her where she needs to go, and
nice
the
little
car's
callback
blue
to the
now.
Doctor's wife.
Yeah, stuff like that I really liked. And that was my favourite part. I'd much rather have just had, like I said, an episode where the Doctor is like, oh, there's this thing. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, I'm trapped here. I've got to wait a year. Titles.
Yeah.
Him and Anita. It doesn't even have to be... Because I think Moffat said somewhere as well that he was writing this and then didn't really give it much of a threat and sort of went back in and put that in. And I'm like, don't always need a threat.
No,
though.
you can just, like...
This man wrote Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say that.
Sorry.
No, Twice Upon a Time is a perfect example of a Christmas special or a festive special. 'Cause I can't remember if it was Christmas Day or New Year's.
It was Christmas. It was the last Christmas before the New Year's fiascos.
But that just shows you can have something just being nice. Your threat in that was Rusty, the Dalek. That was your threat, really. And it wasn't really a threat. It was just like, someone who's a database.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even say he was necessarily a threat.
No, exactly. It's just, it was a plot point.
Yeah, I think the threat is the Doctor's the threat should be sort of more of a character thing of like, oh my God, how is the Doctor going to cope in one hotel in London for a year until he can get to New York? Because people will criticise him, why don't you just go to New York? Why does he have to be in London and wait for a year? It's like, because he needs money to get on the plane and to fly the plane. Well, not fly the plane. Don't make me fly the plane, Doc. But to just be on the plane is a start, because New York is not cheap to go to.
No.
But I would have I think that would have just been more entertaining and more cosy family viewing than, my mum's just flew out the window and cremated herself on Christmas Day because I'm a star now, or whatever the bollocks was going.
Cremated herself.
Well, I don't know, whatever the bollocks was going on. I stopped caring at that point because it was just annoying me.
I feel that as well this falls into the series. This had an hour runtime as well, and it still felt like a rushed ending for me. It kind of felt just because we had that 20 minutes or so with the Doctor and Anita, and then you get the dinosaur bit, and then all of a sudden it just kind of feels like to solve the big bad at the end.
Yeah, but just next episode.
Yeah, just for me, it just felt a bit rushed and very convenient.
Convenient, yeah, I'll give you that. Absolutely was convenient, because the plot is resolved from nothing, and I still don't even know how it's resolved, and I've watched it 3 times now, and I still don't understand how it's resolved.
Box gets eaten by dinosaur. Dinosaur either poops or spews it up.
Yeah, I got that bit.
And then they build a temple around it.
Yeah, but what I mean is that Joy just picks it up and goes, I'm going to be a star now, see you later.
You see her eyes like shine and go things, so she's still under some control from it.
Yeah, but I don't understand how I don't understand. I just don't understand. I don't know if it feels rushed, because something being rushed implies that there's stuff to tie up quite quickly, whereas the plot is like wafer thin.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if it felt right. Convenient, absolutely. It was conveniently done, because it's like, hey, there's this big threat that was going to like wipe out all the thing. If it detonates, I'm just going to pick it up and fly off into the stars and become a star. All right, see you later.
It's the whole as well. You need a friend from
we've done
Joy.
that as
I was
well.
like, we don't need to go back over that. And it is the first Doctor's only episode, effectively. Like, it's the first time we're seeing him on his own properly. It's the first time you've met him. Give the man some respect, you silly person.
I agree, because like when Donna says it to the Doctor in Runaway Bride, it's the first time they met each other, but she's seen how much he's grieving with the loss of Rose, because he keeps going on about being alone, but like a bit more subtle. And then he does the thing of like, committing genocide essentially by drowning all the Rachnos children, and she goes, maybe you need someone to like rein you in a bit. And then this is like, don't be sad at Christmas, Doctor, go and find a friend. And he's like, okay. And it's like, what?
Yeah, he's already made a friend. He used your room to do it.
Yeah, I think it was quite nice that Anita got their space in the Time Hotel, though. That was quite fun. I just hope that we find some way of getting them back again. Anita was shining star, to pardon the pun, of the whole episode. That and Murray Gold's score, and then stuff between Anita and Ncuti. Those are my bits, but yeah, the rest of it is just wafer thin surface level stuff, and the last couple of minutes are unforgivable. So
yeah. Well, as I said, like the Time Hotel's a cool concept, and it's a way of introducing another way of having time travel in an episode instead of, oh, the Doctor's got the TARDIS, that's how it's done.
Yeah.
Like, you got the Vortex Manipulator if you haven't got the TARDIS, but this is just a nice another little bit into how this technology can be used, which I thought was a bit cool. And yeah, that's really me.
Yeah.
On this, I'm kind of done with this Christmas episode now. I've watched it 3 times myself, and it's taken me 3 times to realise I didn't enjoy it that much. It was just that 20 minutes in the middle, and then that bit of fun with Trev where he pops up on the screwdriver.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of where it stopped being fun. It was after that interaction with Trev.
It's the moment that he goes out and finds her and she swallowed the star or something. That's where I was like, nah. I think for me, this is going to be one of those episodes that it's like, I won't actively avoid it on a rewatch like I would with episodes I really don't like, but I wouldn't also pick it out on its own and watch it in isolation. Like, if I'm doing a full binge or something, I'd probably watch it. But am I ever going to sit there and go, oh, I'm really in the mood to watch Joy to the World? Probably not.
No.
Merry Christmas. We hope you enjoyed. Anyway, let us know what you think in the comments below. And
like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really does mean a lot to us.
Yeah.
We do appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly,
if you've got some Christmas money that you don't want to spend on yourself, sign up to our memberships, because you get things like early access, extended edits of every single video we make, providing they're not scripted, which literally is never. And what else do they get? Commission a video. If you go for the highest tier, just go on the thing and have a look. I don't know. We'll be back tomorrow, touch wood, with either tomorrow or soon.
Around New Year's.
Yeah. This will hopefully, my plan is to get this out for you guys on New Year's, and then the following video, because we're going to record that right now, where we're going to look back at 2024 as a whole for Doctor Who, like we did last year, and celebrate or commiserate.
Commiserate.
You'll just have to wait and see.
Commiserate. Especially after Empire of Death.
Yeah, well, we're not. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.